Welcome back for another video, guys, and today I'm going to try and answer a question that a lot of you guys ask me and things that you guys tell me to do in the comments, and I disagree with it, and that is pulling the decoys behind the kayak or the canoe when I'm duck hunting. So I've got the duck discovery over here with me today at the lake. I'm going to do some fishing later after this video, but I've also got a dozen of my decoys, and as you guys know, I do run Texas rigs, so I use the Lifetime decoy rigs. They're pretty phenomenal. If you haven't used them before, be sure to check them out. They are worth the money that you spend on them. So a few things that I want to cover in this video today when talking about dragging the decoys behind the kayak or the canoe is, one is drag. That is the biggest thing for me, especially in the kayak, because the kayak, it's not the fastest thing in the world, and it does take a little bit more paddling to get places than the canoe does. So I'm interested to see how the canoe handles with doing this. So when you're pulling the decoys behind the canoe or the kayak, it creates drag in the water. And so what that drag is doing is basically putting an emergency brake on, per se, like driving with your emergency brake on. You're gonna still be able to go, but you're gonna feel some resistance, and it's not gonna be as it would if you didn't have the emergency brake on. What I like to do is eliminate as much drag as possible, because I like to get to my places quickly, not have to deal with paddling and dealing with corrections and stuff, because I've had times where the wind is just brutal and I have to constantly correct in the wind, and having more drag to deal with does make a difference. So that is my biggest concern with this. Now, there's a few options that you guys have stated in the comments. One is to get a jet sled and pull it behind you. That is a great option. I've done it once before, and that's not great for all circumstances that I find myself in when I'm duck hunting. I like to pack light, and I like to pack efficiently. I don't want to have to paddle with a jet sled behind me when I'm going someplace to duck hunt and then set up in the middle and be like, okay, well, where do I put the sled? That is a concern of mine. It's a great option. It works well, but it doesn't fit every situation that I find myself in. And sometimes once I leave where I drop in on the kayak, I end up in a completely different spot than I first thought I would end up in. Now, I should have brought a decoy bag to put all my decoys in to pull that behind, but I completely forgot, and I realized that right when I started making the video that that would have been a good idea. So we're not going to do that today. What we're going to do is just basically do a test between putting the decoys inside the canoe and pulling them behind the canoe, and we'll just kind of see what it's like. So let's get them loaded up. I also made a huge mistake. I didn't bring waterproof shoes, so hopefully I don't have to get out into the water, because that could be a problem. But I've got the duck discovery here. It's my Old Town Discovery 119. Paddle, life jacket, and we'll throw the decoys in. So I'm gonna plan on doing some fishing after this, so there will be a video on that. I don't know if the video will be before this or after this when I post it. I don't know. We'll find out. I'm curious. I'm really excited to see how this goes, so we'll get everything loaded up here. I also always tie my Texas rigs in a knot, so then the decoys don't get super tangled up. These Lifetime rigs, they don't get tangled up that easily, meaning you can get the tangles out really easily, so it's not a huge concern, but it's just a good practice that I have. Okay, we've got the decoys in the back. I figured once I get out there, I'll flip them over and get them on the outside, but we'll paddle out to that little island out there and come back and just kind of go around here in the shallower area and see how it goes. But I've got a feeling that it's going to be a little bit more difficult to maneuver, so we'll go ahead and put the camera away and get on the water. All right, and we're off here. Time to get these guys out. Okay, we got the decoys behind us right now. I'm sure this is a little bit different than what I would have to deal with in a marsh, because whenever I'm paddling through a marsh, I have to go through a bunch of grass and smartweed and all that stuff, and you get tangled up pretty easily. So I've got a feeling if I'm going through a marsh, I will not be dragging decoys behind me because they get snagged up. Okay. Okay, well, I can already tell that when I'm paddling with these decoys behind the kayak or this canoe, my nose is going back and forth and back and forth. So that'll make it really difficult to keep a straight line when you're trying to go somewhere. So that's kind of a pain in the butt. I can definitely feel a lot of drag behind me. Like, it's not horrible, but you know, it's not great. And I'm not trying to be all one-sided on this, saying that I'm right and everybody in the comments is wrong. I'm trying to help you guys out so then you're not having to battle this kind of situation when it's 30 degrees outside and you're wanting to get to your spot and get set up in the morning. So it's almost like, I don't know,  maybe it's because they're off center, but I don't think my cords are long enough to do that, get them all centered up. But let's see if I can spin in a circle here. Okay, it's not the easiest thing in the world to steer in a circle, so that's like, I've paddled this kayak before I've used it probably 3 or 4 times now, and it normally maneuvers on a dime. It's pretty slick, but with the decoys behind, it's not doing that great of a job. So we'll head back to where we started, and then we'll put the decoys in the back of the canoe and compare that. Also, before we get back, I'm going to try and test the stability of this thing, because I do get a lot of questions on that as well. So we'll go ahead and just give her a good old stand up here. It's definitely wobblier than the kayak, but it's not bad actually. It rocks more than the kayak, but from personal experiences, I know that it is pretty difficult to flip a canoe. Like, it's easy to get it close, but you've really got to try to get it all the way over. So that's comforting. That was actually the first time I've ever stood up in this canoe, so I'm not super concerned about the stability of it now that I've done that. The biggest thing for me is when I'm in my kayak or my canoe, I need to be able to stand up, especially in a duck hunting situation, because I'm gonna have to pee eventually, and I'm not gonna just it's just one of those things. You got to be able to stand up so you can pee off your boat. Now I'm very interested in seeing how this will go with the decoys inside the canoe. Here's another good test of stability. Alright, well, they're all in now. Yeah, I'm really not concerned about the stability of this canoe at all. So that's kind of nice. Now, let's go ahead and get after it without the decoys dragging behind. Holy smokes. I'm not paddling, at least I don't think I am paddling at any different pace. And I think we're going about twice as fast as we were with those decoys behind. So what that means is that involves less paddling. So you're not getting tired, you're not getting sweaty. You're able to get where you're trying to get and get your decoys set, and you're not pressed for time. Okay. Wow, that's awesome. This canoe just freaking glides, especially on this real still water. Let's go ahead and get this guy going in a circle. You know, I'm not entirely sure how good at circles. I might have not been doing the right paddle strokes. Normally, you're going to do a big old C stroke where you come out and around, and that'll get you to turn real quick. I don't think I was doing that with the decoys behind, but I can definitely notice a big difference. Wow. I didn't think it, like, comparing them side by side is completely different than doing it once and then doing it a different way, a different time. So like having them back to back, you can really kind of feel the difference in the power. And it's it's probably different for you guys to see this through a camera than it is to actually be paddling the canoe or kayak. I think the way I do it seems to work out really well, and I don't think I'm gonna drag the decoys behind unless it's absolutely necessary. Well, I guess there you have it. I mean, that went pretty much exactly how I thought it would, but I wanted to be as unbiased as possible, which some of you guys might think I was biased, but I was just trying to talk you through what I was going through when I was paddling it. And you know, that was a pretty small test, wasn't super anything really, it was just there and back, but you can definitely feel a difference in how fast you can get the canoe moving, whether you're having the decoys inside the canoe or you're dragging it behind. So a jet sled, it doesn't matter, because when you have a jet sled behind your canoe or your kayak and you got your decoys in there, it's gonna glide along and you're really not gonna notice it back there. But when you're just dragging the decoys, and this was only a dozen decoys, so I would imagine the drag would be twice as bad with another dozen decoys. So it's doable, yes. I can't argue with that. You can do it. Now, if you're trying to get places with less effort and get there quicker, I would recommend putting the decoys inside of the boat, because it's going to reduce the drag and you're not going to have to paddle as much. You're going to get there quicker, and you know, it's going to be more time efficient. And I'm a really big advocate for time efficiency, and that's pretty solid time efficiency there if you can pretty much paddle and get places twice as fast. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Do you guys want to see another test kind of like this? Maybe do it with the Kayak, or do something different, maybe with a decoy bag behind it. Just let me know what you guys want to see, and we'll try and do some more tests like this, because this was kind of fun, and it kind of answers a question that I get all the time, and people telling me to do that all the time. So I don't know. I figured it was a good idea, and I liked it. I think it was pretty solid, and the results are the results. Take it or leave it, however it is. I have my own opinion now, and I've tested it and did a back-to-back study, and it worked out. So if you guys want to help support this channel, go ahead and pick up one of these hats or one of my shirts by clicking the link in the description of this video. Also, if you're curious about my canoe or my kayak, I've got links to that in the description as well. And if you guys want to follow me on my social media, I've got Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, and Facebook. So be sure to follow me on there and stay up to date with what's going on. But that is all I've got for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll catch you on the next one.